No sound. You have sound now. Let's see. Let's wait for the chat to see if you have any sound now. No sound.
Yep.
Good to go. Okay. Great.
Again.
So, as I was telling you in my muted voice, it's a blessing to be once again with you in this Torah cycle we are doing here in Light to the Nations. We will continue with the story of Yaakov, and this portion is the portion number 8. It's called Vayishlach, that it means and he sent. And I think we have some few things to share today. I will invite all of you to make your comments here in the chat. I will try to take a look more in the chat. If you have questions, you have comments, please write it down. I will take a look, and maybe we can have more interaction with all of you here. So maybe you notice that we are starting 1 hour late. We have decided to change the time of the broadcast to this time. So get used to it. That's going to be at this time from now on. We understand there was some time changes, especially in the US, and most of you are connected from there. So we're gonna accommodate the time in order to let let you have more time during the morning to join us in the broadcast. So don't get confused. This is gonna be the new time until the daylight saving time is changing again. Yeah. Most probably we're gonna change back, but we'll let you know with time. So keep in mind, this is gonna be the new time of the broadcast and the study here in Light to the Nations. Okay. So I don't know. You want to share something before we continue?
That we are sleepy.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's good, it's Shabbat.
Yeah.
It's Shabbat. It's time for rest.
Yeah, but sometimes it feels like we have like I don't know. It's like that we have like a cover, and we feel the moment that when it's removed. But now I feel like I don't know, like I'm in a dream.
So everybody will pray for you in order for it to be removed.
That I can be wake up. Yeah.
So it's good. So let's begin. Let's begin with the song. And I welcome all of you. 28 of you connected. It's good to have you here. This small little family that we feel the love from all of you all the time. And it's important for you to know as well that we love all of you. And we are so thankful for your love, for your support, for being here with us in these studies. I think we feel it. We feel the Ruach of Elohim connecting us all, and I think that's the most important thing and the beautiful thing that has happening in these studies, in this small family, is to have this feeling of the Ruach connecting us all, and to guide us in these ways. I have been telling you all the time, and I'm gonna get tired to tell you as much as I can, is that in this time of we are living this type of fellowship, I would love to have it face to face. I think it would be totally different, but at least to have this type of fellowship is what we need.
Yeah, and it's something. Sometimes there are a lot of people who don't have anybody to talk about this. So we have to take the things that we have and use it in the smart way.
Yes. Yeah. There's sometimes that we need to have this kind of contact. Actually, we should do something, but we need to find how to do it in order to keep some kind of privacy as well. We should try to connect each other by emails for anyone that wants to get in touch with anybody here in the chat. Let's find. We'll find a way. We'll find a way to make it in the proper way, So maybe to join a kind of a distribution list or something like that.
If
Or
anyone,
if anyone wants to get in contact with somebody here in the chat, we can try to
help them to have
help,
the information. If
help on the
anyone wants
connection.
to be in contact, or be contact.
So let's do it simple. And actually, you will need to help me and take a look in the emails. I'm apologize. I have a lot of emails without answering, but my schedule has been a little bit messy the last time. But let's do the following just to start with this. If you are willing to get in touch with somebody, and let's start with this. If you are willing to get in touch with somebody from the chat can contact you by email, send me an email to lightoeverynation@gmail.com telling me that you are willing to accept a connection from somebody else. So we're going to put a list together with the people that wants to get contacted. And this is one side. And the second side, if you want to contact somebody else, also send me a list. So we're going to create a list and we're going to do the match.
I want to be contacted and I want
I want to be contacted and I want to contact somebody.
Okay. And if that somebody is a specific person, you can write down the name of that person. And I don't know. And then we are going to be the intermediary. We
are going to be the mediator, the kind of mediator for until we find out
for permission. Yes. And then when both parties says, okay, I'm okay with the idea, then we put it. We give the information
until we find another more easy way to do it. But this is what I think we can start doing it, because again, we constantly receive emails from some of you, and this is something that is filling our hearts.
It's actually a blessing.
Camila is writing most of the time, and Camila, I'm sorry I'm not answering you directly, but I have my personal assistant answering most of the time. So she's taking care of it.
Yeah, but I'm not asking you about
but I'm reading the emails. Okay.
Yeah, you read.
Yes. So that's why I'm telling you that. It feels something different when you know that there's somebody else like you, thinking like you, believing like you over there, that you can start having this kind of interaction. So that's why, if you are in that need and you agree, let's create this two list and we will work in the mediator. Actually, you will do more than me. I'm gonna be honest, but we will facilitate somehow this to work. Okay.
Yeah, this is a special family. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, that's true. So we can keep all of us in prayers. We can think about us, in our thoughts, in our minds, but we can get in touch somehow. I think it's also an additional way to have this feeling of the Ruach guiding us to this feeling of a family. Beside this broadcast, and they had the chance to have here in this virtual gathering. Okay, so pray about it, and again, if you want to do it, send the email light to every nation. Let me write it down here in the chat. It's light to every nation.
Yeah, and if you are okay with the way that we are doing it, or you are doing it, don't feel the pressure that you have to be in that list. It's only for the people who need that.
Exactly, and I think we have been going, all of us, through this type of phases in life, and I have known many people that it's much more difficult to be open to get in touch with somebody else, and we totally respect that. So that's why we will create this two list. If you want to get contacted, send the email. If you want to contact somebody else, send the email. Okay, so we're adding more tasks to do, but that's good. We will find the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's begin and let's share this song with you. Let's see what we have prepared today. This is a beautiful one. So let's listen to this song, and we will begin with the study right away.
כולי משתחווה לפניך, אלוהי צבאות, אל גיבור, אל שדי, לכבוד שמך. הכל נברא בידיך, ואתה, כן אתה, גם הסכנת כל דרכי. אתה קדוש, נישא מעל השמיים, אתה קרוב, שוכן בתוך ליבי. אתה קדוש, אין כמוך בשמיים,
So with the same spirit, I will invite you to close your eyes and let's pray together to YaHuWaH Elohim, Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, the maker of everything. We pray to you in this moment, in this new Shabbat, lifting up our voices to you, recognizing that you deserve all praise, acknowledging, Abba, that you are the owner of everything, that we belongs to you. Thank you, Abba, because of your love, or because of your compassion that is forever. And that love and compassion that you give as a free gift for everyone that want to take it. And we want to give thanks to you in this moment because you have made us come back to you and given us that opportunity to take of your love and your compassion and your salvation. Toda, because of this family and this gathering. Thank you because you have connected us all with you, because you have increased your love in our hearts. Because we know, as your son Yahushua said, that it's because of the love among us that we are going to show that we are his disciples. And we want to be his Talmidim. We want to follow his steps. And because we want to follow his steps, we are here, studying your word, praying to you, knowing that you are the source of everything, that you are the one filling our hearts with joy, with peace, with hope. And we want to ask you, Abba, that your presence and your Ruach can guide us in this time. And you can open our minds, give us understanding, give us wisdom, in order to know what you want to talk to us today, in order to grow in the knowledge of your truth, in order to make progress in this path of righteousness, the path that is being led by Yahushua, your Son, our King. We pray in this moment, Abba, for this gathering, for everyone here, that you can touch our hearts, that you can heal our bodies, our minds, our hearts, that you can restore our health, you can restore the joy and the shalom. And for those of your people that are not here, that may be watching this later, we pray for them as well, that you can bring your peace and your promises to all of them, that you can make us echad in you, and that we can feel within us how you are uniting us in these times, in these last days. Strengthen us, increase our emunah, our faith in you. Strengthen our hope in you, that we can wait in you always, knowing that every time that we are closer to you, we have nothing to fear because you are the one protecting us and sustaining us. Thank you, Allah, for everything you do for us. Thank you for your Son, Yahushua, our Savior. Thank you for being a Father, for being there all the time for us. We pray to you with all our heart in this time, and we do it with a humble heart, with joy, because you are our Elohim, and we do it in the name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so let's begin. I don't know, I feel something, but I don't know what it is. I need to say something, but I don't know what it is. let's see, maybe it's gonna come out in one moment. So let's review the Parsha in 60 seconds, and then we will begin with the study. Here we go.
Shalom and welcome to Parsha in 60 seconds. Today's portion is from Genesis 32:4, 36:43. It is called Vayishlach, which means "and he sent." As Jacob returned home, he sent many gifts ahead of him to butter up Esau. The messenger brought him news that Esau was coming to meet him, and Jacob was scared. He sent his entire family and everything ahead of him and stayed behind for the night. Coward. That night, Jacob literally wrestled with God, who dislocated his hip. Jacob would not tap out until God blessed him. God renamed Jacob Israel, where he had striven with God and with men and prevailed. The next morning, Jacob was reunited with Esau, and Esau met the whole family. Jacob was in Shechem when his daughter Dinah caught the eye of the prince of the land, who forced himself upon her. The prince wanted to marry Dinah, but the brothers knew what had happened and told Shechem the prince that all the men must be circumcised. Shechem agreed. On the third day, the men of the city were in pain. Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, killed all the men and took Dinah out of the city. God told Jacob to move to Bethel, and while there, God blessed Jacob, who is now called Israel. Soon after, Rachel died, giving birth to Benjamin. Reuben lay with his father's concubine, but Israel found out. Jacob reunited with Isaac at Hebron. Isaac died at an old age of 180, and Esau and Jacob buried him. Esau moved away because they both needed more space. And that is Vayishlach in 60 seconds.
You know, he was having a very funny nose. You know, this kind of Parsha in 60 seconds is like a small movie,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's so funny. So let me put the scripture in the screen, and let's see what we will have today. So let me accommodate the screens here, and let's go to the book of what we were looking at. It was the study with Karen yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to the book of Bereshit, chapter 32 to 36, right?
Yeah.
And let's read it. You want to read it?
Okay.
Okay, let's start in verse 3, because this is giving a kind of introduction, or more the context of what we're talking about.
Okay, and Yaakov sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, in the land of Seir, the field of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "Say this to my master Esau. Your servant Yaakov said this, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now. And I have bulls and donkeys, flocks and male and female servants, and I have sent to inform my master to find favor in your eyes." So the messengers returned to Yaakov, saying, "We came to your brother Esau, and he also is coming to meet you, and 400 men with him." And Yaakov was greatly afraid and distressed. So he divided the people that were with him, and the flocks and herds and camels, into 2 groups. And he said, "If Esau comes to one group and strike it, then the other group which is left shall escape." And Yaakov said, "O Elohim of my father Abraham, and Elohim of my father Yitzchak, YaHuWaH, who said to me, 'Return to your land and to your relatives, and I do good to you.' I do not deserve the least of all your loving commitment and all the truth which you have shown your servant. For I passed over this Jordan with my staff, and now I have become 2 groups. Deliver me, I pray, for the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and shall strike me, and the mother with the children. For you said, I shall certainly do good to you, and shall make your seed as the sand of the sea, which are too numerous to count." And he spent the night there, and took what came to his hand as a present for Esau his brother: 200 female goats, and 20 male goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 suckling camels with their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 foals. And he gave it to the hands of his servant, every drove by itself, and said to his servant, "Pass over before me, and put some distance between drove and drove." And he commanded the first one, saying, "When Esau my brother meets you, and asks you, saying, 'To whom do you belong, and where are you going? And who said this in front of you?' Then you shall say, 'They are your servant Yaakov's. It is a present sent to my master Esau. And see, he is also is behind us. So he commanded the second and the third, and all who followed the drove, saying, Speak to Esau this same word when you find him. And you shall say, Also look, your servant Yaakov is behind us. For he said, Let me appease him with the present that goes before me, and after that see his face. He might accept me. And the present passed over before him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. Sí.
¿Cuánto qué? Sorry for the Spanish. Yeah, let's finish.
Okay. And he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 female servants and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford of Jabbok. And he took them and sent them over the stream, and sent over what he had. And Yaakov was left alone. And a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. And when he saw that he did not overcome him, he touched the socket of his hip. And the socket of Yaakov's hip was dislocated as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaks. But he said, I'm not letting you go until you have blessed me. So he asked him, What is your name? And he said, Yaakov. And he said, Your name is no longer called Yaakov, but Israel, because you have striven with Elohim and with men, and have overcome. And Yaakov asked him, saying, Please let me know your name. And he said, Why do you ask about my name? And he blessed him there. And Yaakov called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen Elohim face to face, and my life is preserved. And the sun rose on him as he passed over Penuel, and he limped on his hip. That is why the children of Israel to this day do not eat the sinew of the hip, which is on the socket of the thigh, because he touched the socket of the thigh of Yaakov in the sinew of the hip. Sorry for the pronunciation in some words.
No, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I hit my ribs
The other day.
a week ago,
Yeah.
and it's so painful. I don't know if I broke it. I don't think so, but it's so painful that even when I'm coughing, this is hurting a lot. And when we're reading this, I was thinking in Yaakov, and imagine the pain of Yaakov and what happened after that fight. Because I'm in pain, and no matter that it's in the ribs in this place, I'm moving my feet sometimes, and it's getting in pain anyways. So it's when we're facing this kind of things and we can put ourselves in this type of a situation, in this case I'm in pain and I understand what it means to be in pain. It's amazing to understand the meaning of overcomer, because no matter he was in pain, he was fighting till the end. He was in pain, and he managed to continue because he wanted to get something. And that's exactly what YaHuWaH is inviting us to do, that we need to be overcomers, that we need to endure until the end. No matter that sometimes we are in pain, no matter that sometimes we are in fear, no matter that sometimes we don't know where we are, or it doesn't matter that sometimes we don't know where we are going, that we need to have our hope and our faith in YaHuWaH and endure until the end. Yes, to be stubborn sometimes, stubborn in the good way, not to be a rebel like Israel in the wilderness, but stubborn in the good ways, that we need to continue, that we have a purpose, that YaHuWaH is guiding us to do something, and He has invited us to be part of His kingdom. And no matter that everything is going differently around us, is that we need to continue and push forward till the end. And sometimes we are so weak that it's much easier to resign, to quit.
Yeah, maybe the
No.
pain is needed for us to be conscious about what is going to be the final result when the pain is not going to be anymore. It's not going to be there.
Mhm.
So is now we are facing what it means to be alive in this earth, far away from Elohim.
Mhm.
So, and we need that to be closer to Him. When we are in pain, when we are facing difficult times, is when we approach Him.
Mm.
So I think that most of us, maybe we are feeling some kind of pain, maybe physical, maybe spiritual, but it's a struggle every day. But in that way, we are appreciating more the time when we don't have the pain, when we are healed.
Mm.
And it's like you're going to appreciate more when things are coming with the effort that you put.
You know, yesterday I was talking to a friend. He's with you on.
Mm.
He's in a project similar to what we're doing here, that we are building a house here in the countryside. We didn't know that we were in the project, that we realized that we both were doing something similar without talking even before. Actually, it was the person that I talked to you a few weeks ago, that we have been having some interesting discussions about the situation that's going on in the world, and I'm connecting few dots to him regarding and connecting this to the scripture. So it's opening somehow the door to share with him some truth. And yesterday we were talking, and he was telling me that I came home in the countryside in the project, and he told me just to open the door, and I find out that I had electricity. And he was without electricity, just depending on the generator, and not even a generator. He was depending on the help of some neighbors in order to charge battery of the tools and so on. So he got his house, and he realized that he got electricity, and he was telling me, it was such an amazing. I was shouting. He said to me, I was shouting of joy, because life is changing somehow. And I was telling him our experience here in what we're doing. What we're doing here. You cannot imagine the way we were living in this place at the very beginning, 1.5 years ago, and I was telling this person that I fully understood that when we have lack of things that we take for granted. When we live in cities, for example, in this particular example, we don't realize about the need of having, or the benefit of having this kind of things. And I was telling him exactly the same. Just to share a little bit of what was our experience. We were having electricity based on generator. Actually, we damaged one generator. We need to bring another one because we were using so heavily. I needed to go every night before going to sleep. I needed to go outside walking. I don't know, a long distance, because we don't want to have it close to the house because of the noise. And I was doing that every night, going to turn it off, and every morning going to turn it on, in order to have electricity. And until we managed to have electricity, the same happened with water and so on. So why I'm bringing this up? I think those are good examples, just to understand that it's exactly what you said. And that was the discussion with this person yesterday. We begin to appreciate things more when we have the lack of them. And I think somehow we see this in this story as well. That when Yaakov is in fear, it's interesting to see that the entire story, he was not in peace. When he was with Laban, he was tempted, tried 10 times. He was deceived by Laban. And now he's in fear of his brother. But in the middle of all this distress, he knew that he needed to go to YaHuWaH. You remember yesterday we were talking about this with in this session with Karen and the sisters and the brothers. Is that sometimes we go and take a look and find and try to find answers in other people. And
it was Daniel who mentioned that the first thing that he made, because we were talking about Yahushua, and it was when he knew that he realized that his cousin John the Baptist was murdered, and with all that pain, he separated from the rest of the people, and he went in a lonely place, and he was contacted Abba. So that's the way sometimes that we need to change that and imitate Yahushua, because we always count on the rest of the people, maybe to talk about our problems, but the first person who was helping him was Abba. So
you remember a few weeks ago we were talking about something very similar, and maybe this is something that Abba is speaking to us, is that we need to put value on things. And it was exactly the story of Esau and Jacob. That Jacob understood the value of the birthright
and
the blessing, and Esau didn't saw the value. So didn't see the value exactly. So maybe Abba is pushing us to understand that we need to value everything he does for us. And not to take it for granted. Is that he's renewing his gifts, his favor, his compassion, his love every day. And we need to appreciate that. And how to appreciate that is just to give thanks. That's the minimum. The first thing we can do is just to give thanks to him because of everything he does for us, and to rely on him every time that we are in need. Rely on him and go to him to ask for his help, because we know that he is the source of everything. It's not fully connected to the story, but I think it's important reminder about the value things and to rely on YaHuWaH. You know, regarding the story, what you were reading, I don't know, I was taking a look in my notes of a few years ago, 2 years ago. And for me, this is a picture of the second Exodus. And we talked about that last week. Because finally, Yaakov, after the tribes somehow are gathered, he's coming back. He's coming back after he got the instruction of Abba. YaHuWaH appeared to him and he said, "Go back to your land, go back to your relatives, go back to Yitzhak." And so the whole process that I see here is the second Exodus. And you know what I see here is that the whole story of Yaakov here on this fear that he has, the encounter with Esau, and so on, is a kind of the last preparations that before getting into the land. And what I mean by the last preparations is that he was still full of fear. And they needed to prepare themselves. Actually, when we read the 35, I think there's an additional point there about the preparation. But here, when he's coming back, he's still on fear of Esau.
Yeah.
And he's still, in the way that I see it, not fully trusting in YaHuWaH. Because he was acting in fear. That you can see this in the two ways. That maybe he was not trusting fully, or maybe he was trusting, but he was acting in faith. I think it's a mix and a balance of the two things. And why I'm saying this? Because if this is really a parallel or a picture of the second Exodus, it means how we need to apply to ourselves. In these last days, I think none of us is having the doubts that we are in the last days. And, we have this kind of persecution, we can have this kind of fears and so on. But what we are going to do about it? What do you think?
I don't know, maybe it's a kind of a situation like Yaakov was trusting in YaHuWaH, but there is the second thing that usually comes when you think that, okay, I'm trusting him, but anyway, I'm going to do this thing just in case. Is, for instance, I don't know, I trust in him that he's going to take care of my health and everything, that everything is what is going to happen to me is because YaHuWaH is arranging and sometimes is telling me you need to improve this or that, or maybe it's a trial, he knows. But somehow I'm going to hire or to buy an insurance, a health insurance. Why I'm going to buy a health insurance if I'm trusting in him? So sometimes we take decisions like that because we're still with the thinking of what we knew from the world that we live in. Because usually human beings, we try to do things thinking that we can prevent, that we can also can avoid or help or support. I'm not saying that we have to be like not thinking at all. No, that's why Abba gave us that beautiful talent about thinking, but always first asking him, going to him and trusting in him. So maybe every little situation like this one that Yaakov made, like divided the groups, like having that fear, maybe it was a moment that he could have asked Abba, what should I do? I am feeling at this moment that I'm fearing my brother. And maybe he could have received, I don't know how, but maybe he could have received some shalom in his heart. And Abba would have tell him, you don't need to worry about. Things are going to result for good. But it's our human nature that we are afraid. And especially if we have taken thought about our previous, I don't know, actions. Because I think that what happened in Yaakov's mind after all those years, because he knew that he received the blessing. He knew that his brother was crying, was asking for something else to Yitzhak, and he couldn't receive the blessing that it was intended for him. And he was promising that he was going to kill him. So after those years, and they didn't knew from each other, and he was going to meet him, and he was afraid because maybe he still was feeling some anger in his heart, and we don't know. And it's going to happen the same with our, I don't know, earthly enemies. Maybe I don't know, people who hurt us in the past. Maybe people that we have hurt in the past. So we don't know what is going to happen in the moment that we see that person again. How is going to be that reaction? Is going to be positive? The other person make the peace in his spirit toward that moment? We don't know.
And for me, that's exactly the point. I was taking a look in the chat, and Shirion mentioned, and it's totally true. For us, it's easy now to see the story because we know the end. How it finished, but the question there was What it be for us if we are facing Esau and 400 men that are coming to us? Most probably we're going to be in a similar situation. You have been having dreams about persecutions and things like that. And we know what's the situation of the world today. We know what is written about prophecies. We know what we will need to face. And we know what the forefathers, the first believers also faced. So the point is that what lessons we can take from this story, we want to apply to ourselves, is that I think the most important one that I see here, beside that for sure is going and trusting in Abba, is that is what Abba wanted to do with Yaakov. And I do believe it's exactly the same that he want to do with us. You know, the whole story started with a kind of family issue between the brothers. And it needed to happen in that way because maybe that was the way that Abba wanted to make the path for Yaakov. But because of that family issue, the heart of Yaakov was full of fear. Full of fear. Let's put for a moment in the shoes of Yaakov. We talked about this last week or the previous one. Is that he was in his comfort zone, living with his father, his mother, his entire life, without worrying about anything, most probably, or worrying just about normal things. And his entire life changed completely because he got the blessing of his father. He got the hatred of his brother that he wanted to kill him. He needed to run away. His mother was pushing him to move and go to a place that he didn't know, to people that he didn't know. So his entire world changed, completely changed. So what invaded his heart was the fear. That's why, you know, after how many? 20 years, 21 years, he was still with fear in his heart. And what I see, Abba wanted to remove that fear somehow from within him before getting to the land. He was already in the land, he already crossed the Jordan, but he was not taking possession of the land. He was not taking possession of the inheritance yet. And what I see here, Abba somehow working with him in order to remove that fear and to somehow to facilitate the situation, to
reconcile those brothers. Yeah, because it was in the heart of Yaakov too. When he said, I'm going to send this gift so I can appease his face. So everything could be right between us. So the desire of the reconcile or make good the relationship again, it was inside of Yaakov's heart. And that's why it's so nice when he's going to receive the surprise from his brother.
And reconciliation in this case is like forgiveness. You know, it's more than for the people. The other person is for the internal healing.
Yeah, and I think it's for both parties.
For sure,
yeah.
For sure. But you know, if we think on how to be a whole person, we need that internal healing, and the only way to have that healing, you know, we always talk about the physical healing. But internal healing, emotional healing is important as well, and sometimes it's even more important than physical. So I think the message here is that the Abba wants to make us whole, a whole person, outside and inside, before taking possession of the inheritance. So if we apply this and we see this as a picture of the second Exodus, because I do believe it's a picture of the second Exodus, we need to think in ourselves how Abba is working with us through our own experiences in this time in order to refine us, This is exactly what is doing with Yaakov, is refining Yaakov. It is written in so many places in the scripture that we are going to be refined like gold. So, do we need to wait until the end to be refined? This is something that I'm always thinking from myself. And we are so stubborn in the bad way sometimes that we don't allow Allah to refine us in the easy way. And because of our stubbornness, He needed to do it in a more difficult way. You remember, and with this I finish, you remember that you have been telling me some theory you have that I find it really interesting.
That what? Some what?
Theory. A theory you have is that sometimes we are having dreams that we are facing some situations in the dreams, and it's a way that Abba is causing us to experience some situations in the dreams instead of doing it in real life. And then so somehow it's a kind of compassion from his side.
So we can put in the shoes of the people who are dealing with those problems or issues.
So using your theory that I think is really interesting. He is giving us opportunities. It could be the dreams, or maybe some experiences in life with our neighbors, our friends, our co-workers, our colleagues at work, or whatever it is, in order to refine us, in order to remove any fear, in order to remove any guilt, in order to make us whole. And sometimes we are not allowing Him to do that because we are so stubborn and we hold fast to those things. And what He needs to do, because of His compassion toward us, that we need to face more difficult situations. And the level of difficulties is increasing and increasing until we understand, until we deny ourselves and we allow Him to refine us. So that's why what I'm asking myself constantly, I'm also inviting you to ask yourself as well, how Abba is trying to refine me today. Because if we are talking about the last days and we're talking about the second Exodus in this picture, and we know that we are living in the last days and we are approaching the second Exodus very fast, that we need to be refined. Let's not wait till the end. Let's take advantage of that, what Abba is doing now, in order to be refined and be ready. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Want to share something?
No.
No. You're feeling touched with that?
Yeah.
Me too. I'm always telling you that everything that I said, everything that I feel, or everything we said, first is going to us. If we are here in front of you in this camera, is because Abba have wanted in that way. But if we're speaking, we are also students. We are learning. We failed all the time, and we need to. Yeah, you feel really touched. Yeah, and actually, I like the way that Camila put it. It's a fine tuning. In my job, we always talk about fine tuning, and that's absolutely true. We need to have fine tuning till the end, and the one doing the fine tuning is Abba. So believe me, every time that we speak to us first. We need to have this fine tuning most of the time, and that's why we are sharing, because it's helping others as well, and you should do the same, sharing with others, because that's the way we need to share the word and the truth of the way of YaHuWaH. So what else we can share here? Okay. No, I have some notes. I think it's important to remind these kind of things. Let's see what is written here. Let's go to the book of Matthew, YaHuWaH. Chapter 5. Let's see, it's gonna be a surprise. I don't know what is written there. I don't remember by heart. But it says in the chapter 5, verse 23 and 24, what it says. If then you bring your gift to the slaughter place, and there remember that your brother holds whatever against you, leave your gift there before the slaughter place, and go first make peace with your brother, and then come and offer your gift. And you know, this it's interesting because it's exactly what happened here, right?
Yeah.
Because he needed to go, and this is written where? It's in the chapter 35, I think.
And he was going to do
He was going to offer an offering and a slaughter to YaHuWaH in the chapter 35, because he made a vow, and he needed to pay the vow in Beitel. And you know, it's totally related to what Yahushua said. He needed to fix this thing with his brother before going to Beitel to offer the offering.
And he sent the messengers to Esau's house.
Yes.
It was not Esau coming him without notice. It
Yes.
was because he informed the brother, I'm going on the way. So I think he made the first...
So they needed to reconcile.
The first action, yeah.
And let's see what is saying in the 25 and 26 is the same. Be well-minded with your opponent promptly while you are on the way with him, lest your opponent deliver you to the judge, and the judge to the officer, and you be thrown into prison. Truly I say to you, you shall by no means get out of there till you have paid the last penny. So those are instruction of Mashiach. Those are instruction of our King, and I think they are quite meaningful. And this is exactly what I see here happening with the Yaakov. It's Abba acting in him in order to remove those kind of things, and also to open the door and make the path to have this kind of reconciliation. So only after that he was going to be able to serve him completely. And can you see what happened, you know, when the YaHuWaH was with him in a way that the Yahushua was telling us that he was in the same way that Yahushua was telling us that he's going to be with us till the end of the world. And you know, at the moment that Yaakov decided to go to Abba, to start praying to him, recognizing, because this is exactly what he said. You know, let's go back to Bereshit, to Genesis, in the chapter 32. Let's read again what he said. And Jacob said, O Elohim of my father Abraham, and Elohim of my father Yitzchak, YaHuWaH who said to me, return to your land and to your relatives, and I do good to you. He humbled himself. I do not deserve the least of all the loving commitment and all the truth which you have shown your servant. For I pass over this Jordan with my staff, and now I have become two groups. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother. He was really on fear, from the hand of Esau. But I fear him. He was recognizing what he was feeling within him. Lest he come and shall strike me and the mother with the children. For you said, I shall certainly be good to you, and shall make your seed as the sand of the sea, which are too numerous to count. And you know, he's using the same, and this is interesting actually, because he's using the same how you say it, the same approach of Abraham, the same approach of Moshe, that somehow,
if you tell me this, you have to help me.
you have been blessing me. You told me this. This is your promise. It's kind of reminding YaHuWaH, come on, Noah. You told me this. You made a promise. You need to fulfill it.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, humbling himself, saying and acknowledging, this is what I'm feeling. This is what is going through here, this heart and this mind. Deliver me. Acknowledging that it's only YaHuWaH, the one that is able, who is able to help us. So it's a kind of a template of prayer that we can, an approach of prayer that we should use actually constantly. And so in the middle of that fear, in the middle of the acknowledging that it was Abba, he had this encounter with the man of Elohim, this messenger, that I do believe most probably was YaHuWaH. Remembering the same thing that YaHuWaH told us, he is going to be with us until the end of the world. In our time of fear, in our time of distress, he is there. But he is there when we seek him with all our heart. When we remove from our side everything that somehow is not allowing us to get close to him. Because this is exactly what he said. He departed himself. It was part of the topic we discussed last night. He looked and searched for a place to be alone with him. He separated his family in two groups. And then he humbled himself. And he already used his servants. He had nobody else to go. Maybe Yitzhak. But going to Yitzhak was in the way to go to face his brother. So he was totally alone. And so he removed everything and he went to a place when it was only him and Abba. And Abba appeared to him.
And it's strange that the situation that happened, it was maybe a resembling of his fear. Because he had fear of having a fight with his brother.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, and now he's fighting, but with Elohim.
Yes.
So it's not just any situation. It's you are facing your fears.
And that's really important because when we were reading this earlier, that's exactly the reason of why Jacob said this to Esau. In the chapter 33, verse 10. And Jacob said, No, please, if I have now found favor in your eyes, then receive my present from my hand, because I have seen your face like seeing the face of Elohim, and you were pleased with me.
So that means that Elohim also was pleased with him.
He was afraid of the fight.
Yeah.
And he was fighting with Elohim, with something even bigger, stronger than his own brother. So he was able to face something more difficult and get a blessing from that. So the fear was totally removed.
So maybe our fears or our struggle are just because our Father wants us to make us stronger in our physical situation, in our reality.
Yeah. I think I wrote to Karen something in the past, and I'm going to set the details of what I wrote to her, and maybe you are going to remember, Karen, is that sometimes Abba is allowing some experiences, allowing us to go through some experiences in our life. And this is exactly, I have been thinking and feeling in this way for a long time already. And sometimes I need to get reminders from Abba, because we are getting caught on some thoughts and situations and emotions and so on that is blocking the real purpose. But the points that I was writing that time is that Allah is allowing us to go through some experiences because He's preparing us for bigger things. And not only preparing us for bigger things, it's also preparing us to help others that are going through similar experiences in order to guide them in the truth and in the path of YaHuWaH. So that's why, sometimes we are shouting and complaining so much because we are going through difficulties. And it could be in the other way around as well, that we are getting so much blessings from YaHuWaH, as it is written in the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy, that our heart and our eyes get blinded without remembering that it's YaHuWaH the one opening the door. So I think YaHuWaH is using the two extremes in order to prepare us for the bigger things, to prepare us for being a beacon of light of His kingdom to the people that doesn't know Him the way we know Him. And that doesn't mean that we have known Him completely. No, we are still in the process to know Him. But that's why we need to give thanks for every experience we have. We give thanks for every people we know. And we need to give thanks for every struggle we are going through. Because it's a way that YaHuWaH is preparing us for His own purposes. And if sometimes we need to fight with Elohim and have this kind of fights through the experiences we are living, we need to acknowledge that He is the one preparing us. And we can get damaged somehow, as Jacob got damaged in his hip. But he endured till the end. He endured till the end, and he knew the purpose, because he was mentioning this in the prayer. You told me, YaHuWaH, to return. And we need to fix that, that point in our heart is that if YaHuWaH is telling us to do something, we need to fulfill it. If He has tell us that we are going to be in His kingdom, we need to do whatever is in our hands in order to be part of the kingdom and to embrace any experiences we need to face. Maybe this is what I needed to say.
Maybe. Yeah. I feel something like that. Yeah.
Okay, let's continue. What else I have here?
Vayishlach.
Okay, no, let's read the verse 35. Okay, the chapter 35. What else we have here in the chapter 35?
35? No.
It's 34, sorry. 33. 33, I'm jumping too much.
Yeah. Yeah, 33.
So we have the encounter, the final encounter between the two brothers. And, this is also an example of humility. He humbled himself. Everybody humble.
Yeah, and make a vow.
Yeah, before the Esau. So also this speaking a lot about Camila said, I think there is more, Juan Carlos. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. This is also a lesson for us that we need to be humble all the time. That we need to be compassionate. Even after the encounter with Elohim, he was acting with humility in his heart. And this is exactly what we need to do all the time, to be humble, understanding that YaHuWaH is the one guiding our steps.
Yeah, because he could have thought, well, I already was with Elohim, I have a new name and everything, so I don't need anything else. But no.
Yeah, we can go to the other extreme.
Yeah. So no.
Have nothing to fear.
Yeah. So we have to be very careful. He continued on the path that he needed to go. And
that's why, what YaHuWaH said is becoming really important, is that we should not fear the one that is able to kill the body. That we need to fear the one that is able to kill the body and the soul in the Gehenna. So, that's the balance. That's the balance that every time that we forget those words, we go to any direction, to any of the extremes. If we remember that we need to have that reverence, that fear to Elohim, that He is the owner and of everything, that He is the one doing everything, we are gonna behave. It's like having mama, and maybe my mama is here, I don't know, watching you all the time, wherever you go. So if we realize that Abba, let's remember the story of Jonah. Jonah thought that he was going to be able to hide himself from YaHuWaH. But he learned an important lesson, that we cannot hide ourselves. Even if we hide in the rocks and in the caves of the earth, He is going to find us there. So if we remember that His eyes and His ruachot, His spirits, are going and looking in the entire earth, it's going to be much easier for us to behave, to behave according to His instructions. So in this case, going back to what happened, he learned the lesson. He was able to face Elohim. He didn't die. He got a blessing. He was asking for the name. He got a new name. And this should resonate in our hearts, because it's exactly what we're going through. We have this promise that we are going to get a new name. We have this promise that what it means, a new name is becoming a new person, most probably, with a new purpose. And we have exactly the same promise, that we are going to be born again. We are going to be transformed or resurrected in a new body. We are going to have a new purpose in the kingdom of Abba. And together with that package, as part of the package, we are going to get a new name. So, but even knowing that and even experiencing that, Jacob was humble. So we need to follow the example. We need to be humble. What does it mean to be humble? If you have to describe the humility, what would you say? I put you in trouble.
Yeah, maybe not try to make you the the center of everything. Is YaHuWaH the center of everything, and Him, and then the rest, and you are the last, maybe. So you don't have to try to put everything, or maybe is always thinking about how the other person is going to perceive, what you're going to say, how the other person is going to receive the message that you have for him. For instance, if I was blessed, I don't know, with the visiting Israel once, and I've telling everybody, hey, I was in Israel, and I'm showing the picture and everything, and because I enjoy it, but I'm not thinking about the people who didn't have the opportunity of even going to the next city. I'm not thinking about them and what they're going to feel. They're going to feel, well, yeah, she has been blessed, and then a kind of jealousy begins there. So humble, I think that it's that you study the situation, that you think about where you are with the people that you are, and trying to step down, maybe even a little bit. And from that perspective, you're going to see a different complete scenario. I don't know. And to be always looking the situation with the eyes of YaHuWaH. Abba has a different eyes than we have for observing the things, the situation.
Let me read some of the comments here. It says, humble, Shirioni says, humble equal to anti-flesh. That's a good one. humility, having a true understanding of who we are. I think of the verse about considering others above yourself. Exactly, Lillian. Submission in reverence. I think, and Camila, being humble is recognizing that Abba is the only owner of the truth. That's also a good one. And just, I remember something. Just looking what it is.
It's like when YaHuWaH was telling to the person, to the Talmidim, when you go to a party or to a feast, a meeting, don't look to be in the highest position.
Yeah.
Try to that is going to happen if somebody else is going to ask you to step in, but you don't have to look for that kind of stuff. So he was always showing humility, and he was even carrying our weakness, our diseases on him. So that's also a sign of humble.
Yeah.
Trying to help the other one with his, or to show them the way that YaHuWaH is the only one who is going to help them.
Do you remember where is the instruction for the king in the book of Deuteronomy? I cannot find it.
For the king.
Yes. I found it.
Yeah.
Chapter 17. I think this is also an example of a humility. Let's go to the chapter 17, book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, verse 18. It says the following. And it shall be, talking about the king, it shall be when he sits on the throne of his reign, that he shall write for himself a copy of this Torah in a book from the one before the priests, the Levites, or the Leviim in Hebrew. And it shall be with him, and he shall read it all the days of his life, so that he learns to fear YaHuWaH his Elohim, and guards all the words of this Torah and these laws to do them, so that his heart is not lifted up above his brothers, and so as not to turn aside from the commands right or left, so that he prolong his days in his reign, he and his children in the midst of Israel. So his heart is not lifted up above his brothers. I think it is also a description of a humility, is to understand that we are all equals. We are the equals in what sense? We are not better or the worse than somebody. That we should not be let our egos consume us. You know, the scripture is talking about so much about the pride and the proud look. This is exactly the opposite of being humble.
And we can do that guarding the commandments, following the Torah, because that is how
it's teaching us how to be
in
humble.
every action to be humble. It's teaching us how to live with our neighbors, with the rest, with the family, with everybody.
And the way, and actually this is resonating completely to what we were saying before, is that our way to keep the balance and the secret to keep the balance is what is written in the verse 19. Learning to fear YaHuWaH, our Elohim. In this case, you know, it's exactly what you said before. He was fighting with Elohim. You know, he could go to the stream saying, "Oh, I'm stronger than my brother, and now I have nothing to fear." 400. What is 400? You know, I will defeat all of them. But to the contrary, he was humble, because now he was acting in the fear and the reverence of Elohim. And this should be the way, our ways too.
And even though when we have faced some situation, when we have receiving maybe some wrong against us, maybe even in those situations we have to be humble. Maybe we have to be the facilitators of looking for the peace between the parties, I think.
Yeah. You know, maybe we need to let some things go.
Mm.
We need to heal internally. We need to forgive.
And be forgiven.
And be forgiven. And we need to act and live in the fear and the reverence of YaHuWaH, being humble. Because, in humility, we are going to be like a Yahushua. Living in humility, we're going to be in Yahushua, and we are going to show that we have an expectation. An expectation that we don't fear what's going to happen. We don't fear people. That we have the expectation that what is coming. So if you have something in your heart and you need to let it go, you need to pray Allah. You need to ask for forgiveness. You need to ask Allah to remove any fear from your heart. You need to ask Allah to orchestrate any type of experience that you need to go through, so He will teach you on how to remove those things from you. He is working through our experiences. I remember, this is not related at all. I don't like this type of examples, but I think it's relevant. There was this movie a long time ago, this V of Vendetta. You remember? The V of
I remember the
Yes.
picture, but not the movie itself.
Yeah, the only thing that I remember that this lady, because I watched it when I was used to watch movies in the past, she was very afraid. She was fearful, and she spent time on jail, and she was beaten, and many things. And through that, she learned how not to be fearful. So and just remember that part of the movie, because it's exactly what we are talking about. Maybe we are maybe we need to go through some experiences, so Allah will remove any type of things within us that needs to be removed, in order to prepare for the role we need to play. I'm gonna fast forward in the portions, and we will talk about this more in details later. But let's remember what happened with Joseph. It's exactly the same thing. He needed to go through difficult situations. And even the story of Jacob is exactly the same thing. He needed to go through all these situations because Allah needed to prepare him for something bigger. So that's why we need to pray Allah. If we feel, and we need to be honest to ourselves. Most of the time we know if we are keeping something here that is not letting us feel free or feel complete. We need to be honest, especially with us, but most importantly with Allah, and ask Allah to help us through some experiences, maybe to get those things removed. And not only through experiences, also being brave enough and strong enough in order to forgive and ask for forgiveness, as you said. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Chapter 33. We talk about the 33. I think do you want to read it? Or you want to highlight some?
Yeah.
Yes. Let me read. And Jacob lifted his eyes and looked and saw Esau coming, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 female servants. And he put the female servants and their children in front, and Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. So he divided at the end in 3 groups. And for me, this is quite relevant because, I have been always talking about the 3 groups of people. You remember? we see the two houses of Israel, the kingdom of the south and the kingdom of the north, but there is a special group of people that in many places in the scripture is talking about is the inhabitants of Jerusalem. That no matter that we're part of the kingdom of the south, they were the kind of separate people, the inhabitant of Jerusalem. Keep in mind that no matter Jerusalem was the capital of the kingdom of the south, the reality is that is the representation of the one kingdom. So that's why there was special people and specific people living there. So I see here that representation. Leah, the Silpa and Bila, and Rachel, the three groups representing the two houses plus the inhabitant of Jerusalem. And it's very relevant because at the end he put Rachel that somehow is representing Jerusalem. You remember that the last 2 weeks I have been sharing about how the barren woman, and especially in this case Rachel or Rachel, is representing New Jerusalem. So in this case, they are coming last. First are coming, and this is really interesting. First is coming Leah, right?
No, first the
female servant.
The female servant. Then Leah and the children, and then Rachel and Joseph last.
It's interesting. Maybe there's something there that is related to the sequence of how the tribes are coming back.
It's like when you eat some food, usually you save I don't know. I'm not saying that he has maybe some favorite, but in some case, maybe you save something that is really important for the last. I don't know. It says in the scripture the last will be the first and the first the last. So maybe.
We're speaking a lot, It has been 1.5 hours already.
Wow. Okay.
So let me continue. And he himself passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. When I was reading this, I remember the parable of the prodigal son. It's a kind of similar, right? It's a kind of similar because is the younger brother coming back to the land. He was trying to come back to his father, and he encountered somehow, in this case, the brother. In the case of the prodigal son, the brother was
not wanting to receive him.
With the angry. He was full of anger. So, but in this case, we see something different happening. What would happen that maybe, Jacob didn't send the servants with the gifts?
And he didn't want to approach Esau.
Yes, or even he was not having this encounter with Elohim. Maybe he was going to have a different approach with Esau. Maybe all of this that we see happening.
Yeah, it's because he wanted to make peace with his brother.
Yeah.
He was humble in that way.
True. And he lifted his eyes and saw the women and children and said, "Who are these with you?" And he said, "The children with whom Elohim has favored your servant." Then the female servants came near. And when I saw this, I remembered Abraham. I remember when Abraham was talking with the throne for the cave of Machpelah. And he was always referring to them, first humbling himself to the ground, and referring to all of them as servant.
Yeah.
I am your servant.
Yeah.
And so, again, the picture and the picture of humility, how we should act. Even, and this is important, even with people that doesn't know Elohim.
And YaHuWaH was also reminding that to the disciples and to us, that we should live as a servant.
True.
He did it. He came to the earth like a servant.
Then the female servants came near, they and their children, and bowed themselves, and Leah also came near with her children, and they bowed themselves, and Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed themselves. Then Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company which I met?" And he said, "To find favor in the eyes of my master." But Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Let what you have remain yours." And Jacob said, "No, please. If I have now found favor in your eyes, then receive my present from my hand, because I have seen your face like seeing the face of Elohim, and you were pleased with me. Please take my blessing that is brought to you, because Elohim has favored me, and because I have all I need." And he urged him, and he took it. So recognition that YaHuWaH is the one giving us everything we need. And he was not afraid, and this is really interesting, he was not afraid of giving his brother a lot of the things that he had. Actually, you remember we were discussing, because of what it said, is that it seems that he remained only with the babies. So what I picture here is that he almost gave everything to Esau.
Yeah. For me, it was like he was sharing the blessing that he had, even the blessing that he received from Isaac, because of the thing that he mentioned. He was sharing this with his brother. So the blessing was for both, because in the blessing, where it one part it says that and says, "Let your mother's sons bow down to you." And here we can see that his wife's sons were bowing down to his brother. So at the end, the promise that he received, or the blessing that he received, he was sharing that with his brother. So I found it very beautiful. And he was blessing now his brother.
And he knew that everything he had was Elohim. You know, we read about the story with Laban. We know, and he knew how YaHuWaH was blessing him and giving him flocks and cattle and so on. He was not afraid that losing everything. He knew that YaHuWaH was going to give him more
and be with him.
So, and he said, "Let us depart and go, and let me go before you." But he said to him, "My master knows that the children are weak, and the flocks and herds which are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard one day, all the flocks shall die. Please let my master go before his servant, and let me lead on slowly according to the pace of the livestock that go before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my master in Seir."
Yeah.
Any comment on that?
What?
I don't know. I
You
thought
read
that,
my email.
No.
No? Because I was sharing this with Camila, that sometimes we have to be like Jacob. And when we are like Jacob, we can be the result maybe in some other people's life in the future, if we accompany them in the pace that they are having right now. When we so back to our lives, we are going to realize that we have people in our lives that were accompanying us too. Maybe they were very far ahead from us, but they were not pushing us more speedily that we could support. So we need to do the same. So I find it very nice.
Jephthah said, "Having put aside then all evil and deceit and hypocrisies and envyings." Oh, my English is really bad today. And all evil words.
Bad words.
As newborn babes desire an adulterated milk of the word, in order that you grow by it, if indeed you have tasted that the master is good. So what's the point that I want to make is that there is a pace for each one of us.
Yeah.
That's why it's an individual walk. And Abba is so compassionate that YaHuWaH is leading us in this way, in this path, individually, understanding what is our rhythm, understanding what what the speed what we can walk without dying. This is exactly what Yaakov said. If you are leading them too hard, the flock can die. This is exactly what he said, and he answered to Esau in the 13. And if the men should drive them hard one day, all the flock shall die. So this is something that we need to realize. Sometimes we are so eager to help others and to share with others what we have learned that we don't understand. And this is something we have been talking, the two of us, many times. That we don't realize that everyone has their own rhythm. We need to let the Ruach guide everyone in the discovery of the truth, in the walking according to the pace that YaHuWaH has defined for each one of them. If we try to do it and to push hard, we can produce something totally different. And that flock can die. We need to recognize that we are the children. It is written there are children that are weak, flocks on here that are nursing, that needs to be led in a peaceful way, in a specific pace. And the only way to know how to do it is let the Ruach guide. Ask Abba to guide. So we should not push people too much. Just to shine the light of Abba. Ruach will do the rest. And Esau said, please let me live with you some of the people who are with me. But he said, why this? Let me find favor in the eyes of my master. And Esau returned that day on his way to Seir, and Yaakov set out to Succoth, and built himself a house and made booths for his livestock. That is why the name of the place is called Succoth. And Yaakov came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padam Aram. And he pitched his tent before the city. And he bought the portion of the field where he had pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 kesitah. And he set up a slaughter place there and called it El Elohei Yisrael. So, interesting, Sukkot. After all of this, he pitched his tent and called it Sukkot. And I think it is very, very relevant considering the feast of Sukkot. And is basically making tabernacle with Elohim. He needed to go through that process. He was not finished yet in the refinement, because we know all this process, and the next part of the story is that we know it happened. But he got to a point that he was able to pitch the tent. Actually, later in the chapter 35, he got to the point that he was able to act as a kind of a Kohen, a priest. Why? Because he offered
the
gifts and the slaughtering in Bethel.
Yeah, in Bethel.
Actually, it's interesting because in the book of Jubilees, it mentions that the one serving as Kohen was Levi or Levi. But who was somehow preparing and doing all of this was Yaakov. I think it's a beautiful picture that he needed to have a kind of preparation in order to get to that point. Okay. So, what else? Let's check what is in the chapter 34.
The story of Dinah.
You want to read it completely, or you want to comment on it? Because I think we know the story.
Oh, we can read it.
You want to read it? Okay, let's read it.
And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had born to Yaakov, went out to see the daughters of the land. And Shechem, son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the land, saw her and took her and lay with her and humbled her. And his being clung to Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov, and he loved the girl and spoke kindly to the girl. And Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, Take this girl for me as for a wife. And Yaakov heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Yaakov kept silent until they came. And Hamor the father of Shechem went out to Yaakov to speak with him. And the sons of Yaakov came in from the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved and very wroth, because he had done a senseless deed in Israel by lying with Yaakov's daughter, which should not be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, My son Shechem's being longs for your daughter. Please give her to him for a wife, and intermarry with us. Give us your daughters and take our daughters for yourselves, and dwell with us, and let the land be before you. Dwell and move about in it, and have possessions in it. And Shechem said to her father and her brothers, Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me, I give. Ask of me a bright price, and give ever so high, and I give according to what you say to me. But give me the girl for a wife. But the sons of Yaakov answered Shechem and Hamor his father, and spoke with deceit, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said to them, We are not able to do this matter, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a reproach to us. Only on this condition would we agree to you, if you become, as we are, to have every male of yours circumcised. Then we shall give our daughters to you, and take your daughters to us, and we shall dwell with you, and shall become one people. But if you do not listen to us and be circumcised, we shall take our daughter and go. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. And the young man did not delay to do this, because he delighted in Yaakov's daughter. Now he was more respected than all the household of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came to the gate of their city, and spoke with the men of their city, saying, These men are at peace with us, so let them dwell in the land and move about in it. And see, the land is large enough for them. Let us take the daughters for us for wives, and let us keep them, our daughters. Only on this condition would the men agree to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us is circumcised, as they are circumcised. Their herds and their possessions and all their beasts, should they not be ours? Only let us agree with them, and let them dwell with us. And all who went out of the gate of his city listened to Hamor and Shechem his son. Every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of his city. And it came to be on the third day, when they were in pain, that two of the sons of Yaakov, Shimon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword and came boldly upon the city and killed all the males. And they killed Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah from Shechem's house and went out. The sons of Yaakov came upon the slain, and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their flocks, and their herds, and their donkeys, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and their wives they took captive, and they plundered all that was in the houses. And Yaakov said to Shimon and Levi, You have troubled me by making me a stench among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And I am few in number. They shall gather themselves against me, and shall strike me, and I shall be destroyed, my household and I. But they said, Should he treat our sister like a whore? Dun, dun.
It's a difficult story, right?
Yeah.
But, we were reading, according to the book of Jubilees, Dinah had 12 years old.
Yeah.
And there's some few things that are not
Clear.
clear, yes. But somehow, indirectly, we can see it here in the story. For example, Dinah was somehow kidnapped by Shechem. Why I'm saying this is because of what is written here in this passage. find it.
When they took it.
When they went and started to destroy the city, Shimon and Levi, it says, and they killed Hamor and Shechem, his son, with the edge of the sword, and listen, and took Dinah from Shechem's house and went out. So Dinah
was there.
Was living in the house of Shechem. Why she was there? If the entire story is that, he took her, he humbled her, he wanted to talk and take her as a wife, but she was in his house. How come?
I think that it's because he was waiting that the answer was going to be positive, that he was going to receive it as a wife.
No, but if he was repented and he wanted to do it in the right way, she was letting her go back to his house, asking her father to I want to marry her. Bring it to me. And only after Yaakov was allowing and agreeing on giving his daughter, take it again. But what happened is that there was no agreement. And basically she was living in his house. So that's why I'm saying that she was somehow kidnapped. And then when we read the book of Yasher, somehow this is exactly what is revealing, that Shechem was taking her by force and not allowing her going back to his father. And actually is being written in the book of Yasher is that Yaakov, he tried to get his daughter back, and there was a fight even before Shimon and Levi was going there. And after he was unable to do so, he sent 2 servants in order to take care of Dinah.
Yeah, well, she was staying there.
So it's taking the little child by force.
But everything happened because she was curious, or somebody with her was curious, because they want to see how the land was behaving. And it reminds me in one place of the Torah when it says, you don't get even interest about how other cities or towns or villages are doing, what they're, following, because you could be snared by their action. So sometimes when we try to figure it out, what other people are doing, we can be at risk. We put ourselves in the position that some damage is can touch us, like it happened here.
I have some thought that I don't know if this is correct what I'm thinking, but maybe this is also a foreshadow of something that was going to happen. My dad always telling me a long time ago about some story that we find in the Brit Hadashah. That is a kind of transition between he was telling me that it's a kind of transition between the Israel to the church. And I know that the concept of church is not like in Christianity. So from my point of view, it's more than a transition from Israel to the church. Gentile church is a transition from the old Israel to new Israel. Okay? And what we see is that basically with the ministry and the service and the purpose of what YaHuWaH did, he allow us to start all over again. It's the new beginning. Okay, it's old Israel and now new beginning, new Israel. It's a new generation. It's a being born again. Okay. So what's the connection with this story? When we go and let's read together, and I'm gonna make the connection of what I'm thinking that could be the yes,
we were there.
Could be the picture. So this is in the book of Mark, chapter 5. Let's go to the verse 21, I think. Yes. Let me read it completely because it's a beautiful story. And when YaHuWaH had passed over again by boat to the other side, A large crowd assembled to him, and he was by the sea. And see, one of the rulers of the congregation came, Yair by name. And when he saw him, he fell at his feet and begged him strongly, saying, My little daughter lies at the point of death. Come, lay your hands on her to heal her, and she shall live. And he went with him, and a large crowd was following him, and they were thronging him. And a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years, and had suffered much from many physicians, and spent all that she had, and was not better, but rather became worse. Having heard about YaHuWaH, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, If I only touch his garment, I shall be made well. And immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And immediately YaHuWaH, knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, Who touched my garment? And his taught one said to him, You see the crowd is thronging you, and you say, Who touched me? And he was looking around to see her who did this. And the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done to her, came and fell down before him and spoke to him all the truth. And he said to her, Daughter, your belief has healed you. Go in peace, and be relieved from your affliction. So, just to connect to what I was saying, and what my dad is telling me, that something that he got this revelation somehow many years ago, is that woman with 12 years having a blood issue is a representation of Israel. The 12 could be the representation of the 12 tribes. The blood could be sin, and also the offerings from the past. But mostly, in the way that I see it, is the sin and the punishment of sin and death. She was spending all the money she had in physicians instead of looking for
somebody
for
who is
YaHuWaH.
giving only you
Exactly.
a solution for your temporary pain, but not the causing of the disease.
Until she realized that the only way to find relief and hope and healing was in YaHuWaH. So, but the story doesn't end there. It continues. You know, it's started not with this woman. It started with Yair and her daughter and his daughter, and now it's continued with that. So it says, as he was speaking, they came from the ruler of the congregation's house, saying to him, Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further? But having heard the word that was spoken, YaHuWaH said to the ruler of the congregation, Do not be afraid, only believe. And he allowed no one to follow him except Kepha and Yaakov and Yohanan, the brother of Yaakov. So they came to the house of the ruler of the congregation, and saw a commotion and much weeping and lamenting. And coming in, he said to them, Why make this commotion and weep? This child has not died, but is sleeping. And they were laughing at him. And when he had put them all out, he took the father and the mother of the child, and those who were with him, and went in where the child was lying. And taking the child by the hand, he said to her, Talita Kumi, which is translated, Little girl, I say to you, arise. And immediately the girl rose up and was walking, for she was 12 years old, and they were completely astonished. But he ordered them many times that no one should know it, and said that she should be given food to eat. So the second part of what my dad is saying is that that is the new Israel. What he says, the church is the new Israel. She had 12 years old. It could be a representation of the 12 disciples. And that is starting all over again. It's a new beginning, basically. And that's why, he's resurrected. The other one is healed, but now it's transitioned to the new generation, the new Israel, with the 12 years old. That is basically the new beginning. So what is the connection with the what I thought with the with the story of Dinah,
Because she had 12 years old.
because she had 12 years old. So, but it's exactly what you said. If Dinah somehow in this, what my dad is sharing about the story of Mark, somehow it's a representation of the new Israel. And we take Dinah as the same girl. What Dinah did is to get caught by the world and then not being free by the world. And this is exactly what happened with the religion and Christianity.
And even though the other one maybe had real feelings for her,
yes,
but is causing a lot of damage.
Yes, it humbled her.
Yeah.
Put yourself in the story of what happened with the first believers. You know, there was a kind of takeover by a system, a religious system, especially in the 300 AD, that we know as the Catholic Church today. And there was a defilement of that girl to put in somehow. And maybe it was, as you said, a real feeling, but at the end it was a defilement. When it's something
it's a mixture that
exactly,
that shouldn't be there. Yeah.
And she was trapped. She was kidnapped. She was not able to go back. The only way to go back was through death. So it could be that maybe it's a representation, and I think if that's the representation somehow in the picture, it's becoming even more relevant what you said. She was curious, and out of curiosity, she went to a place that not necessarily she needed to go. And this is exactly maybe what happened with the believers, or what happened, with the enticement and with the curiosity. This little girl that somehow could represent the new Israel got contaminated, but now needs to go back, and is gonna come back through an offering, through a sacrifice, through death. And then not only the death of YaHuWaH, we know what's going to happen at the end. It's destruction. It's exactly what the two brothers did. They brought destruction over the entire city. And the story is somehow difficult to understand why they did this. And I think what the complementary information we see in the book of Jubilees and Yasher is allowing us to understand even better what happened. And, everybody kept silent of what happened. Everybody.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what's happening, in today. There are so many things that happening today. And I think it was Zachary Bauer, he said something like this, is that, sin has been always in the world. And that's true. But he said, the difference in this time is that there is a celebration of sin.
Yeah.
Everybody's celebrating sin. It's like normal.
Yeah.
It's
and it's receiving all the compliments and all the support.
Yeah, it's like the new normal, Everybody was talking about the new normal 2 years or 1 year ago, about this situation in the world. Now the new normal is a celebration of sin. Everybody wants to commit sin. Everybody seeing it as a normal thing. And so somehow that's the connection with the Shechem. That the only way that we are gonna be able to be freed by this situation is, unfortunately, and it's very unfortunate somehow, is by distraction. And this is exactly what happened in Shechem. Shechem didn't want to let Dinah go, and the only way to take her back was by the destruction of the city. And actually, what is interesting in the book of Yasher is saying that the Shechem, the father of Hamor, actually, they didn't want to comply with the request of Shechem to be circumcised. And it was funny, because we were discussing that how convincing was the Shechem
Yeah.
in order to tell
The power
everybody,
he has over the people.
yeah, you need to get circumcised, and everybody was
Yeah,
following him.
yeah.
This is a kind of funny to say so. But in the book of Yasher, it says that there were few people, including the father of Hamor, it was the grandfather of Shechem, that he was not willing to do it. He was totally opposite to their decision.
The grandfather of Shechem. Okay.
Yes. And actually they were threatened them of having a battle with all the tribes of the Canaanites. And it is written in the book of Yasher is that Shechem and Hamor repented of the decision, and they committed to Hamor and the rest of the Canaanites that they were going, as soon as they were going to be healed, that they were going to destroy
Yaakov and his family.
So it's interesting because at the end it's giving us an additional insight of what the Shimon and Levi did. It was to bring vengeance of what happened. It was to bring a punishment over the sin of Shechem, and not only the sin of Shechem, was to bring punishment on the sin of the people.
Yeah, because they
were silent.
So they make themselves, how do you say, complaints? No, I don't remember the name. When you hide somebody that some other...
They took part of the sin because of not telling about that and keeping silence. But doing the parallel to what we were discussing about the picture of the 12 years old and a kind of representation of the new Israel, I think is very compelling. So we're past the time.
Yeah.
You want to read fast the 35?
It's your turn.
It's my turn?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I read the story of Dinah, so...
Oh, let's read it, and we finish with this.
Yeah.
And Elohim said to Yaakov, "Arise, go up to Bethel and dwell there, and make a slaughter place there to El, who appeared to you when you fled from the face of Esau, your brother." And Yaakov said to his household and to all who were with him, "Put away the 40 mighty ones that are among you, and cleanse yourself and change your garments." This is the last part of the preparation before going to the place of Elohim.
Remove everything.
So the first was the preparation of removing fear, reconciliation, forgiveness, is to prepare him internally to make him whole. But now is the last part of the preparation, is to remove and put away all the 40 mighty ones, idolatry. And idolatry could be many things in these times. So we need to cleanse yourself.
And change your garments.
Change your garments. Cleansing, final cleansing is coming from YaHuWaH. And change your garment, for me, is a representation of the new body. The new body. This is exactly what's going to happen to us before we go to Bethel, before we go to the place of El. And let us arise and go up to Bethel, and let me make there a slaughter place to El, who answered me in the day of my distress, and has been with me in the way which I have gone. So they gave Yaakov all the 40 mighty ones which were in their hands, and all their earrings which were in their ears. And Yaakov hid them under the terebinth tree which was near Shechem.
Yeah.
Wow. What?
Because maybe here in this part of the story, Yaakov, who was receiving everything, maybe he received the idols that Rachel took.
I think there's something written about it in the book of Jubilees and Yasher.
Okay. Because he realized at this moment that
it was Rachel and what he said.
It was Rachel and what is coming now.
And they departed, and the fear of Elohim was upon the cities that were all around them, and they did not pursue the sons of Yaakov. They killed an entire city, so nobody wants to mess with them. And Yaakov came to Luz, that is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all the people who were with him. And he built their slaughter place and called the place El Beitel, because there Elohim appeared to him when he fled from the face of his brother. And Deborah, Rivka's nurse, died, and she was buried below Beitel under the terebinth tree. So the name of it was called Alon Bahut. And Elohim appeared to Jacob again when he came from Padam Aram and blessed him. And Elohim said to him, "Your name is Yaakov. Your name is no longer called Yaakov, but Yisrael is your name." So he called his name Yisrael. And Elohim said to him, "I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and increase. A nation and a company of nations shall be from you, and sovereigns come from your body. And the land which I gave Abraham and Yitzchak I give to you, and to your seed after you I give this land." And Elohim went up from him in the place where he had spoken with him. And this is interesting. He went up. Like YaHuWaH went up, in a cloud. So I always find interesting because there is other reference, other stories that is written in the same way, going up.
And he saw him probably.
And Jacob set up a standing column in the place where he had spoken with him, a monument of stone. And he poured a drink offering on it, and he poured oil on it. And Jacob called the name of the place where Elohim spoke with him Beitel. Then they set out from Beitel, and it came to be, when there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath, that Rachel began to give birth, and had great difficulty giving birth. And it came to be that she was having great difficulty giving birth, that the midwife said to her, "Do not fear, for it is another son for you." And it came to be, as her life was going out, for she died, that she called his name Ben-Oni, but his father called him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set a standing column on her burial place, which is in the monument of Rachel's burial place to this day. And Israel set out and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Eder. You want to say something?
No, I was thinking because she was buried there because, okay, they were traveling and everything. You cannot have a dead body with you during all the journey. But why in the future nobody was picking her up again and take it with everybody was?
That's interesting.
Why she remained there?
With Joseph, they took the.
I was thinking about. Thinking just about that. That was my thought.
And I think, if I remember well, in the Jubilees or Yasher, it says that Leah was buried together with Jacob.
Yeah. Because it was only two places. I don't know.
Not sure. But I think that's something interesting. And the connection with Bethlehem, with the Ephrath, is also some kind of relevance.
And it's a promise that the Mashiach was going to be born there.
Let's continue in the 22. It says, "And it came to be when Israel dwelt in that land that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine. And Israel heard about it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Shimon and Levi and Yehuda and Yisachar and Zebulun. And the sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's female servant, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's female servant, were Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padam Aram. And Jacob came to his father Yitzchak and Mamre, or Kiryat Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Yitzchak had dwelt. And this is interesting. Actually, the book of Yasher gives more information on this. Because if you remember, Yitzchak was dwelling in the south, in the wilderness. I don't remember the name.
Near Beersheba? No?
Yes, near Beersheba. But he moved to Hebron, where the Abraham had a tower. It says the book of Yasher. And this was the place that he was living. And the days of Yitzchak were 180 years. So Yitzchak breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people, aged and satisfied of days. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. So interesting and so prophetic. The reunion of the two brothers.
And
It's kind of the reunion of the two kingdoms.
only 1 out of 4 women has 6 children.
Yes.
The other 2 only a couple.
That's interesting.
The proportion, yeah.
Good. And we are not going to read the 36 because this is the genealogy of Esau. You can read again. The genealogy is always bringing few interesting stuff, especially in the names.
Yeah.
So I will suggest you to take a look in the translation of the names. We are not going to do it here. This is a task for all of us to do it individually at home. So any final words for today?
We need to overcome the struggle that could be in our lives. The situation that Yaakov was having in his life before offering a slaughter to YaHuWaH. So
you feel sleepy now? No. And you didn't drink the coffee?
No.
Okay, because I saw Shirion was suggesting you at the beginning to drink a coffee, so you needed the coffee. Now you can drink a coffee just because you want. Good. Has been a blessing to be with you. I really hope that the message that we have received for us first has been also a blessing to you in the same way that has been blessing us. You get emotional in one moment of the discussion. Me too. And that's what Abba is doing with all of us most of the time. He's putting reminders week after week, day after day of what we need to follow him all the time, that we need to trust in him all the time, that our fear needs to be in him, that he's doing everything that is in his hand in order to refine us, in order to help us, in order to make us better, in order to make us like him. So we just need to be attentive. We just need to be open. We just need to deny ourselves in order to let him do what he knows to do.
You know what is also interesting? That a lot of people who is without knowing that are going to depart from this earth, usually they make amends with the people who were in trouble before. They go and visit a family, family member. They have the conversation needed, and I don't know how, but it's something like 1 week, 2 weeks later, and they departed. So it's something strange, and I think that is what we have to do, because this is only temporary, and we need to focus on that. This is temporary, and we need to prepare for the complete and the life that YaHuWaH is offering to us.
That's true. And it's a good way to finish the broadcast. It's a good word. So thank you so much once again for being with us, for your love and your support. And we hope to see you next week in the continuation of this cycle. In the meantime, many blessings from Abba. Have a wonderful continuation of Shabbat. Have a wonderful week.
A lot of healing.
Yes. A lot of joy, peace.
Yeah.
And remember what we have received from Abba today. We need to be humble. We need to seek for forgiveness. We need to forgive. We need to remove any fear. We need to trust in him all the time, because he's the source of everything. So thank you so much. Toda Rabba. YaHuWaH be with you all. See you next week. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
See you.